What's up, y'all, and thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T, and boy, it's been a long time since I said that. It's been a while, about a year since I've been on this channel. I know I started uploading, if you can see on my channel, I did upload my reaction to WWE SummerSlam. And then I started trying to do wrestling weekly, and it's really tiring. I get home from work, really late. And then when I do those videos, it takes me up to 4 a.m. in the morning before I get everything done. And I don't have that type of time or energy or anything like that. So I'm going to go back to my roots. On this channel, I am going to go back to doing trailer reactions, movie reviews, looking at trailers from Shudder, looking at uh, Indonesian horror films and stuff like that. I'm going to be getting into TV series. This video is regarding Cobra Kai season 5. But I'm going to also do House of the Dragon and possibly doing Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings TV series. Quite a bit of stuff that's out there now, a lot of content, and I'm going to try to keep up. So this is going to be a new beginning for this channel, and I'm going to be dedicated to this channel. I did start another channel, Search T Reacts, but I'm going to shut that down and I'm going to focus on this channel because I know there are people who are subscribed to this channel and may not have been checking out my content lately, and I hope that I can regain their interest. I'm going to do that from this point on. So let's get into Cobra Kai season 5, and the first episode for this season is entitled A Long Way From Home. In this episode, we see the, what you'll call it, the recap of season 4. We saw what happened. We saw that Hawk became won the male, the male version, the the tournament for the males. He won the tournament. I'm trying to see how do I say that? But then the all female, maybe all male and then all female. The all female was won by Tori. We all know what happened with Tori. Is that she won it. She was happy. She had the trophy in her hand, and everybody's saying, Kyler was like, "Hey, let's go to my house and let's have a celebration." And she's like, "Hey, I'll catch up," something like that. And then she hears some talking and she sees the referee that refereed her fight with Sam. All of a sudden you hear, Terry's voice. And apparently, well, not apparently, he paid off the ref. That made her smile turn to a frown, and Tori now knows that she did not win the tournament on the up and up. I feel pretty bad for her. She really, really worked her ass off. She really, really did everything she needed to do. Sam did the same thing. But I think that Sam would have won. I think there was moments where she got a clean kick or a clean punch, and the referee took the point away. It was just something like that, to where it was just, there was something up. I kind of had a feeling that something was up, but I really couldn't put my finger on it. And then, of course, we see later on what happened. Right? And then we see that we go through all that and all this stuff. He catch us all up. And we then focus on the episode, the present day. And we see that after the All Valley tournament ends, that Terry Silver goes on a expansion spree of Cobra Kai, opening up their flagship dojo in Encino. We see a commercial, an ad that he put out there, that you see this high-tech, all technical type of equipment that they're using, and you see graphics, right, to kind of hype it up. It makes a person like myself. I'll join. I would join if I saw that. I've even seen some other content creators that I watched said the same thing. It's kind of enticing. But that's only because of people that don't know what Terry really is all about. And then we see that Amanda. You see somebody swimming in their pool, the LaRusso's pool. And she is miffed because Daniel's decision to bring in Chosen to stop Terry Silver. It's impacting their marriage. It's reneging on the deal that Daniel struck with the Cobra Kai. Now, we go from there, and a pretty tense situation with the two. She even said that, hey, I was envisioning us drinking Mai Tais next to the pool, not seeing your friend swim naked. And then, because Chosen came out of the pool, hi, Amanda-san. And I'm like going, I don't think she's up for pleasantries there when you have your whatever hanging out. I mean, I don't think she wants to see that. But it was something. Now, Johnny sets off to Mexico to find Miguel. We saw that right after his thing was up. When he was out of the tournament, he ended up deciding that he's going to just not tell the family, not tell anybody, not tell his mom, his grandma, none of them. Johnny, he's going to go to Mexico to look for his dad. And Johnny sets off to find Miguel, and he takes out Robbie with him. And Robbie is displeased with the aim of their bonding trip. Like, they were going there, and you think, hey, we're going to go to Mexico, kind of cool. We're going to bond. When we go there, he's buying these little trinket gifts and, and there's some chicharrones, which he calls, what did he call those? Chicharrones or something like that, and I've eaten chicharrones my whole life as as being a Filipino, I've eaten those. All, but, then it's almost like you think that, they're off on the wrong foot, right? But he didn't want to tell Robbie, I'm sure, because there's still a little bit of tension between him and, what do I call it? Him and Miguel. But, he even said, Johnny said, hey, if you want to go home, once we get to the bus stop where, where he knows that Miguel, got off, he says, you can go home. Even when he even reached the place, he gives him money. He gives him money. He gives him, for the fare, and then money to buy snacks and drinks. And he goes off and he tells Robbie, I'm sorry I put you through this. I'm sorry. But, he had to do what he had to do. He's going to go look for Miguel. Now, Robbie, he eventually decides to drop the idea of going back home. Now, before he does that, before we even know he's going to do that, Miguel, he was conned by these hooligans, if you will. These guys who looked like they were being, what's that word? But they were being kind of like, like, hey, like they were kind of lending their hand to him. They saw that he was, that he was lost, or they could. I mean, these kind of guys, can smell a tourist from a mile away, or someone who's new to the country. These dudes, and they're not even Mexican nationals, man. One guy's Australian. You have one black guy, and then you have a Mexican guy who doesn't even look like he's from. He's probably from. They recruited him probably, and Miguel ends up being conned off of his savings. They're like guys behind him, and none of us even realized watching it that someone behind him took his bag. So he's like, hey, how much you want for this map? He takes the map, puts it on his buddy's back there, right? And he's like writing the destination. And he goes, okay, I need money, $5. So he goes, oh yeah, sure, I'll give you $5. How much you gonna give me for your missing bag? He looks to the side, bag's not there. And then the other dude, the Mexican guy, has it in his hand. He knows he's been conned. How much money do you have? That one guy asked, the guy from Australia. He opens it up, and he goes, okay, I'll take that. And the guy is very nice. Because you know what he did? He gave Miguel the $5 that he gave them for the map. Really nice, huh? I mean, I'm like going, dude. And it's funny because Miguel didn't try to fight these guys. Maybe he was just being smart, or maybe he just didn't want to have any kind of, he was focused on finding his dad. So why is he going to try to get into some, especially, you're outnumbered. Don't try to pick a fight with so many guys at once. It's always good to have somebody have your back, because even though he could have gotten a couple of those guys, some of those guys could have got him in a rush, and they could have, taken him out. But yeah, that happens, and then when he leaves, and he later on, he gets into a heated argument with Sam. Like, he's in the back behind a restaurant, I guess, like that, and he's talking to Sam, and Sam's like, Where'd you go? I'm worried about you, you know. And I go, I'm here in Mexico. I'm looking, you know, stuff like that. And he goes, but you left without telling any of us, not even your mom. And then she asked, how come you know you're talking about where you're at, but you're not even asking me about how did it go? Did I win? Did I lose in the tournament? And he's all like, why are you making it about yourself? You know, like why are you making it about yourself? Like I'm here talking about finding my dad and stuff, and then you're making it, you know, and then you know stuff like that. And then she just hangs up the phone, and they leave on that kind of a pretty pretty bad note, you know. So who knows what happens going to happen to their relationship after this? I mean, he didn't even tell her, and sometimes it's trust and being honest and stuff like that is important in a relationship. You know, I pull for these two. I think that they're a great couple, but they're like fresh out of high school. You know, they're teens. They're still young, so it's just like what is going to happen between them. People say that yeah, you're going to have many boyfriends, many girlfriends before you find that one, and maybe these two, that's it, that's all it takes is just them two. Maybe that's the one for them, right? But we've seen Robbie with with Sam. We've seen, what do you call it, then Robbie with Tori, and I think even Miguel was with Tori. You talk about a triangle, a quadruple, what do you call it, a quartet, going around. Stuff like that, which happens when you're young. You don't have just one girlfriend. You'd be lucky to find that one, high school sweetheart and all that. But anyway, let's move on with that. Now, when he was talking to Sam, someone yelled out Hector. Now, before that, he did find a guy named Hector, but he looked like a very shady individual, a guy who was in charge of looks like a gang or a cartel or whatever. They were behind in a dark room, smoky room, playing cards. I think it was cards or mahjong, whatever it was. And he was asking, "Do you know a girl named Carmen?" He's like, "You're pretty brave coming here, like and stuff like that." And then he's asking questions, and I think the guy got miffed. And then his cousin goes to grab Miguel, and Miguel does a handful of moves here and there and knocks the guy on his ass. The guy that he's talking to, that he might think is his father, starts laughing. He's like, "Man, get up! You're making a so you're it's like you're just making so much drama. You be on the ground. Get up." And he told Miguel, "Stop asking about it because I don't know about your mom." I think he said, "I don't know about this bitch of yours named this bitch named Carmen or something like that." He's like, "Oh, okay, okay," and he gets up and leaves. Because he definitely warned him. He said that guy Hector said that if you stay here, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna get ugly, So, he leaves Miguel. Now let's go to the part when he was talking on the phone with Sam. Sam hangs up on him. He hears a Hector, or like somebody called a guy named Hector. He turns around. There's a guy, clean cut looking guy. Didn't have any kind of dangerous vibes off of him. This is a guy who Carmen never told that she got pregnant with their kid. So he doesn't even know Miguel. Now Miguel looks at him and goes, "Dad," like and I'm thinking, just go up on him, man. Because I don't know how common Hector, the Hector, the name is there, but his last name is Salazar. That's the name that he got, Hector Salazar. And I know, like myself, I thought the guy's last name would be Diaz, but I think Miguel took the name of his mom as his last name, not his father. I think that's how it is. It should be, right? I mean, because he's Salazar, you would think he would have his father's last name, because maybe because he doesn't know, and Carmen decided, okay, I'm not going to, give him his father's last name because he doesn't even know his dad. Now, let's go back to his father. He's following him while he's looking at his dad, and his dad's walking through to the neighborhood, to the village there, and everybody seems to know him. He's like a philanthropist, like somebody who is probably a well-known person, very very giving, a charitable person, like you know what I mean. He seems pretty popular. Everybody's shaking his hand, saying hi to him and everything. And then Miguel realizes that his dad, a man who he thinks is his dad, but looks like it is. All points, all signs point to it. He has a wife, beautiful wife, and he has a adorable little kid, 5-year-old boy. And even there was an interaction between the two when the boy lost the ball that he was playing with, and then Miguel got it, did a little soccer kick, kicked it up and grabbed it, gave it to him, and he introduced himself. But the little kid just smiled at him and didn't say anything. Because I'm pretty sure he's been told by his parents, don't talk to strangers, maybe that's why. Or maybe the kid's just shy and he didn't want to say anything to Miguel, and he just goes out to his kid. I mean, to his mom and dad. He's following them, kind of observing the situation. And there's a moment when Miguel looked at his son. I mean, maybe his father's son, his pretty much his half brother, and he kind of smiled, like almost like he was thinking, hey, I may have a younger brother. How cool is that, right? And he's following them, and they're walking down the street, and all of a sudden, the little boy Luis that's his name. Because it's funny when Miguel asked his name, he didn't say anything. And then his mom yells out, "Luis," and then Luis runs to his mom. Now he loses the ball, as little kids always do. They're playing with the ball, blah, runs into a street. Here comes a car, just honks. The car doesn't even slow down. Miguel jumps into the street, grabs Luis, and brings him to the sidewalk. And the mom and the dad are ecstatic. They're appreciative. They're very happy that this stranger saved their son. And he starts talking to them. And he talks to them in Spanish. He's like, "What kind of accent is that?" Because he spoke he spoke Spanish. He spoke like that, but I'm sure with a Mexican accent, I mean with an American accent, and a lot of natives to Mexico I'm sure would recognize that. It's like with me when I talk in the Philippines, I don't have the accent. I'm Filipino. I know how to speak Tagalog. I know how to speak the dialect, but my accent is American. So they always call it. They're appreciative that I know how to speak, but they always bring it up. Sometimes it gets annoying, and it's kind of funny how after they found out that he's American, because he said, "Oh, I'm from America," the guy starts talking to him in English. It's almost like with me sometimes when people find out that I'm my upbringing is in America and I'm not Filipino, I'm not from the Philippines. They'll start talking to you in English, even though I know how to speak Tagalog. It's just one of those things. But I noticed that, and then he's pretty much talking to him, and he's like, "You know what? You look familiar. Like I've seen you before," and that's kind of like a thing. Like, oh, maybe he sees a resemblance to Carmen, probably, because that's the person that he's seen before. That is Carmen, right? Now he invites him and his wife invite him to dinner. He invites Miguel to dinner first to kind of pay him back for his good deed, the kind deed that he did saving their son. He's like, no, 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 but the wife insists, and so does Hector. So he goes there and he shares dinner with them, and it was pretty sweet. It was a pretty nice moment between father and son. But we'll find out how Miguel gets around to that, and if Hector's going to be upset because he probably thinks that he's stalking us, and how come he didn't say anything at first? I mean, now let's talk. So now let's move from that and let's go to Johnny. Johnny ends up confronting, not confronting, but befriending those con artists that took Miguel's money, and then he's asking, have you seen the guy? Talking about Miguel and stuff like that, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you. We know where he went. I have a map." Same thing that they're doing before. Puts the map on his friend's back, circles the location, and then the guy, you see the dude that tried taking Miguel's bag, had his hand in Johnny's pocket. He turns around, kind of does a little hand twisting his hand and going, "I wouldn't do that if I were you," kind of a thing, and then he just kicks him and he sails across the damn beach, and then the Australian guy goes, "Well, we're gonna do things the easy way or the hard way," and he goes, "You know what? I'm gonna kick your ass, and I'm going to, shove that surfboard so far up your ass that your friends are gonna ride you, you know." And typical Johnny, right? Typical Johnny. He's always looking for a fight, but he's a guy definitely that we all know that he can start it and he can end the fight. Now, it looks like he's going to get his ass handed to him, or he's going to have be outnumbered. And then all of a sudden, when the Mexican guy tries to come at Johnny, out from nowhere comes Robbie, and he ends up kicking that guy out of the way. And then they do a little tandem there, and they take out each and every one of these guys. The surfboard is broken in half, and a piece of that surfboard, he knocks that Australian guy out. And it was a pretty good fight. You get to see Dad and father and son, teaming up, and it was pretty good. And I actually like Robbie in this role now. You know, he's not the guy who's mad at everybody. He's not the guy who says, you know, pretty much saying "F you, Dad. I don't want to have nothing to do with you." And we've heard him say that plenty of times, right? Many a time. But here, it's like he even forgave Johnny for not telling him why they were coming thousands, what, 2,000 miles or something like that to go to Mexico. But they're there. They got a little bit of a workout, taking out those scammers, and I'm glad because those guys were scumbags, man. I mean, what they did to Miguel, now they're going to try to do to Johnny. Now, let's move on. Let's go to the fact that there's Daniel. He has his students. Dimitri's there, Hawk's there, and his daughter Sam, and the others are there. And he announces the closure of Miyagi-Do to fulfill the deal. He made a deal. If they lose, he's going to close down Miyagi-Do. I thought that if he lost completely, they did win the all male side of it, but I guess they were supposed to win all of it, and I guess that doesn't make sense. You got to win the whole thing in order to, you know. So he did that, and it's upset Sam. She even said, you know, because he pretty much said, you know, that I'm doing this because I don't want the Miyagi-Do name on your guys' back. You're gonna have a target on your back if we keep Miyagi-Do open. And she said, I can fight. And he goes, Sam, it's not your fight. You know, and she's still that young kid. She's still someone who's not yet an adult, and she's thinking with her head instead of her heart. She's not thinking about the consequences that might happen, you know. And remember, like last season, they were being targeted all the time. You know, what did he do with Hawk, right? They shaved his head, shaved that iconic iconic mohawk off his head. So he didn't want to put them in that situation again. Remember, she has a scar, where the scar like right here or right here from when Tori had that claw thing. Reminding me of Han from Mr. Han from Enter the Dragon. He had that, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's that. Then him and Chosen decide to go to the Encino Dojo. Now they're looking around. They see all the students. They see Kenny handing out, you know, pamphlets and all that stuff. I don't know who else was there, but they mainly showed him. All these new students coming in, and then Chosen notices Terry, you know, with other students, and he's pretty much kicking their ass. And he's like, "Hey, Daniel-san, look." He looks. They see him, and then Chosen is like looking at what do you call it? He's looking at the way Terry moves, and he's all, I recognize those moves. He's all, what do you mean? And he goes, and then he mentions Kim Sun Young. Now it shows a flashback to when Terry was pretending to be like in awe or in awe, you know, in admiring Miyagi in this Karate Kid 3, and he said that because remember he was part of the 442nd or something like that, an all Japanese regiment in World War II, and then he introduced himself and they said my master is Kim Sun Young and stuff like that, and Chosen tells Daniel that he was very, very popular in the Korean War. He taught the servicemen, the American servicemen, and he says that his moves are not honorable. Daniel's like, show me. And when they bow, before they finish their bow, Chosen tries to do an uppercut, and he blocks Daniel's punch, and then he grabs him by the throat and takes him down. And he says, that's pretty much showing how that dirty style that he taught Terry and all that stuff. Daniel's like, well, you could have just told me, But hey, sometimes you got to be shown, you got to be shown. Now, Chosen even told Daniel that Sato, the uncle of Chosen and the fellow student with Miyagi, they were taught by Miyagi's dad. He was dismissive of the style of Tang Suro. And Kim Sam-young, he, like I said, he taught that to the soldiers in the, Korean War. And no honor, no mercy. That was the tenets of that style. No honor, no mercy. It's just like strike hard, strike first, no mercy, right? Like a little bit of that. And then Daniel then concocts a plan with Chosen to expose Terry's true maniacal nature to his students and the Val Valley. Now, as part of the plan, Chosen goes to Cobra Kai dojo posing as a local sensei, along with multiple other senseis from other dojos who have come to give their auditions for becoming a Cobra Kai sensei. Um, that's the thing that we see that ends the episode. We see as Terry's going by talking to these dudes. They're all gray haired, older men. I'm thinking he's teaching these guys, and it kind of went past my mind that no, they were senseis. He's looking for sensei. I thought he was saying looking for senseis. He was going to start elevating, I don't know, Kyler or some of these other guys, Tori, to being senseis, instructors, right? That's what I thought. And now I suddenly hear a yos, and that was, and it reveals that it is Chosen. Now, very interesting. What was my feeling about the episode? I thought it was great. A great way to open it. Now I know that they released all 10 episodes, as they usually do. But I'm going to be doing this like every Friday. I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to upload the video early Saturday morning, like right after midnight, something like that. So for those of you who watch this and want to, take part in watching my reviews of Cobra Kai, that's when I'm going to do it. I'm not going to binge it. I'm not going to rush it. I really want the experience to last. Hopefully there is a season 6. They do have a number of ways they can go. They can go, if Julie's not going to be introduced here. People were rumoring that Julie is the mother of Tori. Or they could even go in like the, multiverse, and bring in Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. But I don't know about Jaden Smith. He's kind of shaky. And he's whatever he does, he's like sometimes he's in movies, sometimes he's not. Sometimes he thinks he's a tree. Sometimes he believes he's a piece of a sponge. I mean, it's like how weird the Smith family is, and it's other stuff that's happening with Will Smith. We all know that. I don't want to get into that because it's a bunch of horse shit. I don't care about that. But this episode was really, really a great way to open it. We saw, like I said, we saw the recap, but then we saw this expansion of the dojos for Cobra Kai, and then we see Miguel in Mexico and Johnny and Robbie coming to the rescue, trying to find him. We see also a little bit of a rift between husband and wife, Daniel and Amanda. But we did see a little bit at the end. We saw, when she, he has a Mai Tais in his hand and she's smiling. So, there's a little bit of a makeup there. And then, of course, the whole thing with Chosen now going undercover. Mission Impossible mission for an impossible mission, Mission Impossible style for Chosen. I think he'll be able to pull it off. I think I did see a scene where he did confront and talk to Terry and pretty much threaten him. So I think that I'm sure his cover will be blown, but I think Chosen can handle himself. But I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I think Cobra Kai should never die. Remember that thing when Terry and what do you call it? Say Cobra Kai and never die. And I think that this series should keep going on and on as long as they can do it. Don't just say that, okay, we're going to do 7 seasons and then that's it. If they can keep going, let's go. You know what I mean? They could do generational thing. When Sam and Miguel down the road, they become parents and then their kids can carry on the legacy too. I mean, but that's going a little bit too far into the future. But like I said, I enjoyed Cobra Kai Season 5. The first episode entitled Long, Long Way from Home. Very good episode. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad Cobra Kai is back. And I hope that y'all who watch this video will continue to go on this journey with me to watch this series. And like I said, there's other series that I'm interested in doing. House of the Dragon, the prequel to Game of Thrones, and then I think it's a prequel also. The Lord of the Rings of Power, I believe that's the name of it. You know, and so many other things too. Movies that are coming out that are being streamed now. You know, Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. You have Jurassic Park, Dominion, or Jurassic World, excuse me, we were Dominion, Elvis, which is probably going to be the movie that I'm going to do for my next video because I've heard nothing but good things about that movie. The guy who plays him is a spitting image of him. There's videos that they show side to side comparisons, and I haven't looked at those videos, but but I like to look at them just to see. But I want to see the movie first. I never want spoilers. I didn't watch the trailer for this because I know there's a lot of things that were shown. I already know of some people that are going to be popping up in here, and you know, but I'm just going to go with it, and that's why I want to kind of like make it a weekly thing, so that I'm gonna put it out of my head and try not to let it stick in my head that the people that are gonna pop up in this this season. It's not gonna spoil it for me. It never does, but it's because the way these guys. I already knew about Terry. Y'all knew about Terry coming back. And the way he came back was still an amazing transformation, right? He was reluctant, and then he became a willing participant, and then he became a snake in the grass, and he ended up framing Terry. I mean, framing what do you call it, Kreese, and he's now in prison. Attempted murder for beating up, putting the blame on him that he beat up and nearly killed Stingray, which is a bunch of bullshit, right? But we know that. But like I said, if I go too long in this video, I don't want to go too long. But yeah, that was my my recap, my thoughts on the episode, and my review again of Cobra Kai season 5, the first episode, Long Way from Home. So for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. And in closing, and as always, take care.